Part 30. Adorable Baby, The Miracle Doctor is So Awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 291. As mentioned earlier, the sun-quenching bowl also has the function of flying. After enlarging it dozens of times, it becomes a bowl-shaped flying magic weapon with a large capacity inside. It can seat at least 20 or 30 people at one time. Similarly, Shenyazi also gave Luo Yaoyao a bunch of talismans and seals. In this world with thin spiritual energy, it takes several days for a spell to return to blue after it is cast, so everyone is accustomed to saving spiritual energy and not using it unless it is possible. But it's different if you hold a bunch of talismans and seals in your hand, which is equivalent to holding a bunch of big killer weapons. Whoever dares to provoke me, just throw a bunch of talismans and seals at him and teach him how to behave. Patted the talisman and seal presented by his disciple in his arms, Luo Yaoyao's mood was soaring. The third road is Gu Switting's place. The imperial capital is the center of the entire Tianyuan Empire, and the number of capable people gathered here is quite dense, much more than in other places. It happened that Gu Switting was also in the imperial capital, so Shenyazi asked him to help bring those people over. He had to make a trip anyway. So Shenyazi also sent him an invitation. Compared with others, the wording was much more playful, and he also acted coquettishly. After reading it, Gu Switting felt happy from the inside out. Naturally, there is no response to the demands of a girlfriend. Asterisk. Lu Jingran came all the way to the pier, planning to take the waterway to Langcheng. But he arrived at an unlucky time. The last big ship had just left shortly, and the rest were either not sailing for the time being or were small boats that were not fast. While he was in a hurry, a 3-story ship came over. The people on the ship were dressed in capable blue shorts. They were in good order and silent. At first glance, they were no ordinary boatmen. A group of people walked towards the side. The leader was handsome. Who else could he be if he wasn't the legendary King Chen who killed without calculation and was cold-blooded? The black-clothed guards following behind him all seemed to be very powerful and difficult to provoke. As the group of people walked along, everyone around them stayed away and gave way to them. Look at them with eyes full of awe. Watching Gu Switting board the ship directly, Lu Jingran hesitated. In normal times, he would have stayed far away from such a powerful person, but now, he was so excited by what was said in the invitation that he wished he could spread his wings and fly to Minjia Villa in an instant. So he didn't hesitate for long, and walked up to ask Gu Switting, who was standing on the bow of the boat with his hands behind his hands, "Lu Jingran, may I ask where the prince is going?" Gu Switting looked calm. "Hezu Prefecture, Langcheng." If Shenyazi were here, he would definitely laugh at him for pretending. Obviously he was entrusted by her to carry Lu Jingran and others, but he acted in such a cold manner that Lu Jingran rushed up to beg him. Sure enough, the next moment Lu Jingran said, "What a coincidence, so am I wonder if the prince can let me take a ride." During the few breaths of waiting, he felt a little uneasy. If it were another dignitary here, he would probably want to invite him on board the ship immediately, but he was not sure about the King Chen in front of him. Although this person has a vicious reputation, since he returned to the imperial capital from the north, he has always lived in seclusion and rarely interacted with others. He kept a low profile but no one dared to provoke him. It makes people unable to figure out his temperament. Maybe his reputation as the Saint of Qin, which was touted by those good people, may be useful to others, but in front of King Chen, it may not count. All kinds of thoughts went through his mind in an instant. At this moment, he heard Gu Switting say, "Yes. Haha, thank you so much, Your Majesty." Lu Jingran got on the boat with a smile on her face, with a childlike innocence in her expression. After boarding the ship, Lu Jingran thought that they would spend several days together, so she got close to Gu Switting. "What is the prince going to do in Langcheng?" Thinking of something, the ice and snow between Goose Whitting's eyebrows melted instantly. I received an invitation from a friend to cheer her up. Ha! Friends. I'm afraid it's my sweetheart. Lu Jingran could smell a lot of gossip from his expression and tone. What a coincidence, I also went to the appointment. He took out the invitation he found. I wonder if the prince has ever heard of who Shen Yizi is. He was the one on the invitation. He thought Shen Yizi was it. Was sent to me by a man, asking me to attend the opening ceremony of Minjia Villa. I don't know how he found me, it's really strange. Goose Whitting stared at the invitation, his eyes darkened, and he felt a little uncomfortable when he thought that Yizi had sent invitations to so many people besides him. After meeting her, he must let her coax him out. It is said that a woman in love has a negative IQ. In fact, men are no less generous. In relationships, everyone is a fool, childish and careless. Shen Yizi. These three words came out of Goose Whitting's mouth, with an inexplicable tenderness, as if they had been tasted on the tip of the tongue 1,000 times. This is the friend I mentioned. I think, her bright moon the villa will not disappoint. Lu Jingran. Is it possible that Shen Yizi is actually a woman? He said tentatively, I don't know Miss Shen. Does your majesty know why she invited me? Goose Whitting did not refute what Miss Shen said, but only said, you will know after you go there. After a pause, he added, she didn't just invite you. On the pier, a beauty in purple came meandering towards her. Although her appearance was only average to above average, her every move exuded a coquettish and flirtatious style. She simply had the word enchanting engraved in her bones. It is the master of singing and dancing in Chiu Shui Pavilion, Yu Linglong. As the top star of Chiu Shui Pavilion, after earning enough money, she redeemed herself and did not leave. Instead, she invested the remaining money in Chiu Shui Pavilion and became one of the bosses behind Chiu Shui Pavilion. So, her body is free and her travels are not restricted. After receiving the inexplicable invitation, she became infinitely curious about Shen Yizi and Minjia Villa. The lost dances and songs mentioned in the invitation came second. So she packed up and set off with two people. Just how to get to Minjia Villa on the first day of October became a problem. Unexpectedly, when I came to the pier, I saw the big ship engraved with the unique mark of Prince Chen's mansion. Among the many ships, it was so tall and majestic that it simply stood out from the crowd. Yu Linglong cast her gaze over and saw that striking figure. Chen Wang Goose Whitting. Today is really a good day to travel. Yu Linglong walked over and asked the same question as Lu Jingran did before. Her voice is crisp, a little hoarse, and very sexy. When she is not singing, it arouses people's hearts. When she sings, it makes people lose their soul. However, the charm that she was always proud of had no effect in front of Goose Whitting. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 292. Yu Linglong is not discouraged. If this person is so easy to take the bait, it will be too boring. She climbed onto a boat next to her. It is worth mentioning that this boat actually belongs to Goose Whitting. Although Shen Yizi gave him a good mission, he did not say that he must be on the same ship as those people. Thinking of this, he felt a sense of grievance in his heart. Is Yizi so relieved that he will be traveling with those women? Do you trust him enough, or don't care about him enough? If Yizi were walking with a group of men, he would have been unable to sit still. Following Yu Linglong, Li Haitang, Wen Daoming, Chu Baitao, and others arrived one after another. During this period, Goose Whitting never moved out of the way of the boat. Lu Jingran then understood that these people were invited by Shen Yizi, and Goose Whitting was obviously planning to bring them all over. It's just that some were allowed to board Goose Whitting's ship, while most were allowed to board another ship. After everyone arrived, Goose Whitting put the small magic charm sent by Shen Yizi on the boat. In an instant, the two ships sailed out one after the other, riding the wind and waves so fast that they floated. Some people are already seasick, and now that the speed is so fast, they are even more dizzy. However, Shen Yizi had already considered this situation. In addition to the talisman seals, he also sent a batch of pills to Gu Swiding to treat seasickness, motion sickness, and spaceship sickness. Before sailing the ship, Gu Swiding distributed the medicine to his subordinates and told them to take the medicine if they encountered anyone who was seasick. Lu Jingran didn't get seasick in the first place, but this time it might be because the boat was traveling too fast that he also fainted. However, after taking the pills, he stopped feeling dizzy immediately and felt refreshed, even walking back and forth on the deck. Fine. This medicine is really effective. Originally, he wanted to buy some for spare use, but Gu Swiding told him that they were not for sale. Besides the medicine, what amazed him was the food that Gu Swiding served them afterwards. Needless to say, these meals were also provided by Shen Yizi, and she made them herself, in order to buy off the stomachs of this group of masters before they arrived. Her tricks were obviously very effective. After having a meal on the boat and knowing that these were done by Master Shen himself, everyone became more and more curious about Minjia Villa. Ljiazhuang. Shen Yizi welcomed his first customer, Mr. Bao Jixiang Bao. This master chef is very different from what she imagined. He is not fat at all. On the contrary, he is very thin, but his body is very strong. Although he is already over 60, he is energetic. According to the intelligence, he has a good appetite and can eat 2 large bowls of rice in one meal. This old man has been dealing with various dishes for almost his whole life. He not only developed many new dishes, but also created his own genre. In the culinary world, he is a well-known figure. At his age, most people at his age would spend time at home entertaining their grandchildren and enjoying family happiness, but he still had no time to spare. He still happily wandered around the vegetable market, vegetable patch, and kitchen every day. After tasting the dishes she asked Ganwu to deliver to her door, he followed Ganwu without saying a word. For a person who is obsessed with cooking, there is nothing more attractive than a new dish. Not to mention that the 3 dishes Ganwu brought were all things he had never heard of or seen before. After arriving at Ljiazhuang, he was filled with wonder along the way. After meeting Shen Yizi, this feeling reached its peak. He never expected that the person who could make such dishes would be a young girl. She still looks so delicate. With those arms and legs, can she lift a spoon? Shen Yizi greeted him at the newly decorated Minjia restaurant. Originally, she wanted to take the old man to have a rest first. After all, after traveling such a long distance and being so old, it was inevitable that he would be tired from the journey. But Bao Jixiang waved his hand and refused. Why rest? Old man, I'm not that fragile yet. Miss Shen, right? How about we compare our cooking skills? Shen Yizi followed the good example and said, okay, how do you want to compare? Let's not make those fancy things, let's just make 3 simple dishes: simmer a chicken soup, stir-fry shredded green pepper and pork, and have a bowl of egg fried rice. How about that? These 3 dishes are not complicated, or even very simple, but as the saying goes, simplicity is the most important thing. It is not easy to make simple things well and to the extreme. Stewing chicken soup is a test of the cook's skill in cooking with slow fire. Stir-frying shredded pork with green pepper is a test of strong fire. Fried rice with eggs can show how good the cook is with cold rice. So if these 3 dishes are to be cooked well, it will also test the chef's skills. Shen Yizi nodded. No problem. She knew that the old man proposed the competition because he wanted to test her. Even though the old man is here, it doesn't mean that he has recognized her and is willing to work under her. There is a 2-way choice between them. Only if her cooking skills impressed him and made him feel that he could learn something from her would he be able to stay. This is exactly why she chose Mr. Bao. His cooking skills have reached the pinnacle of the secular world, but he still continues to seek innovation. This kind of person is what she needs. The two of them immediately entered the restaurant's kitchen. All kinds of kitchen utensils such as pots, bowls and pans have been prepared inside, and there are even some new kitchen utensils that Shen Yizi asks someone to customize. Bao Jixiang walked around the kitchen, nodding secretly in his mind. He then opened the cabinet and rice vat and looked at the rice, flour, and grain stored inside. As if patrolling his own territory. The flour is white, fine, and free of impurities, and the rice is plump and crystal clear. There are several rice vats, all of different types. This made him feel a little more satisfied. Let's go, take me to the vegetable patch. Since we were not sure when the kitchen would open, we only stored some durable ingredients, but no vegetables or anything else. If you want to cook, you have to pick it from the vegetable field. Bao Jixiang likes to cook and pick the food the most. In his opinion, whether a dish is delicious or not depends on the chef's skills, and the remaining 6 points depends on the ingredients. The fresher, the better. Coming to the vegetable field, at first glance, the garden is full of greenery, with melons and fruits everywhere. The fresh smell of vegetables fills the nose, and Bao Jixiang's eyes light up. That look was like a pervert seeing a garden full of beauties with different styles. Such a vegetable patch is what he has dreamed of. As an imperial chef who retired from the palace, Bao Jixiang naturally could not be a real man, so he could not marry a wife and have children. He did have a few apprentices, but none of them lived with him. So he lives alone in a small two-door courtyard. It is more than enough for him to live alone, and he has transformed the good gardens into vegetable plots according to his own preferences. It's just that the place is not big, and the vegetable plots are scattered here and there, and the soil quality is not very good, which affects his performance. Jabi does not admit that he is not good at growing vegetables. For this reason, he even thought of simply living in the countryside. The countryside was spacious enough for him to do whatever he wanted, but before he could take action, Ganwu came to find him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 293. At this moment, looking at such a large and vibrant vegetable garden in front of him, Bao Jixiang was eager to try it. This Chinese cabbage is juicy and delicious. Stir-fry it with a little lard and add a little salt to make it fresh enough. This fat winter melon is good for making soup. This green cucumber is very delicate and lovely, so I use it to cut cucumbers with a knife. As Bao Jixiang walked, he arranged the vegetables in sight. From time to time he would pick one and taste it, nodding as he tasted it. Shen Yizi followed behind with a smile and did not disturb him. When he asked, he introduced him. How come I haven't seen this red fruit before? It's called tomato? Did it come from overseas? It's a foreign country, so this name is quite appropriate. In fact, no, Shen Yizi spent his points to buy the seeds from the grocery store. Can I eat it? Mr. Bao is most concerned about this. Shen Yizi smiled secretly, feeling that he and Nian Nian must have a lot in common, and he could ask Nian Nian to accompany him another day, so that he could make the old man happy. You can eat it, you can try it. Shen Yizi took off one, performed a cleaning technique, and handed it over. Bao Jixiang took a bite and said, well, it's sour and sweet, very good. By the time they finished visiting the vegetable garden, the vegetable baskets in their hands were already full. Next, the two went to the breeding farm. This was just built, not far from the vegetable garden. It used to be a pond, but now it has been filled in with soil and a breeding farm has been built. Although it has only been built for a few days, it is already very large. There are chickens, ducks, geese, cattle, sheep, and pigs. The people who look after the farms are some elderly people Shen Yizi recruited from the village. They have fixed working hours and are not exposed to the elements. Taking care of these livestock is a job they are used to. The most important thing is that they get paid every month. 20 taels of silver a month, and various red envelopes and other gifts during holidays. Old people are very happy to do this job and rush to apply for the job. But a breeding farm doesn't need that many employees, right? Naturally, there are some who failed to make the cut. The old man who lost the election was very disappointed. Shen Yizi comforted them that there would be many job opportunities in the future, and they would be given priority when the time comes. Her current status in the hearts of the villagers is, to say the least, perhaps even more authoritative than the emperor. One word calmed everyone down. Those who have been admitted have worked very hard in the breeding farms, and they have to find work if there is no work. So although this is a breeding farm, it is kept clean and tidy, making people feel comfortable at a glance. Bao Jixiang thought he was in the wrong place at first. But it's broad daylight now, and the livestock in the farms have been let out to roam freely. The taste of a chicken raised in a cage is absolutely different from that of a free-roaming chicken. So Shen Yizi pursues a free-range policy, allowing employees to take their livestock out for fun during the day. The meat of livestock raised in this way will taste good. Bao Jixiang deeply agreed with her concept after learning about it. This is the same as raising children. Why do those children from wealthy families get sick so often? Why do they cry when they fall down? It's because they don't get enough exercise. Those children who are free-range in the countryside are different. They are very sturdy. Shen Yizi can only agree with half of this. Children should be trained to exercise, but they cannot be left alone completely. Nothing they should learn should be left behind. Speaking of which, she hasn't checked Qingbao's homework for a while, so she has to do a random check at night. King Bao and Nian Nian, who were sweating profusely while playing with their friends, didn't know that they were already in disaster. The 3 dishes in the competition include egg fried rice, so eggs are indispensable. Shen Yizi originally wanted to ask someone to bring him a basket of eggs, but Bao Jixiang refused and insisted on touching the eggs himself. The eggs in the chicken coop have already been touched by the staff. If the old man wants to touch it, he can only try his luck in a place where chickens often hang out. Shen Yizi naturally has no objection. Picking eggs is also a kind of fun. In order not to compromise this happiness, she did not use her spiritual consciousness to cheat. Instead, she dug through the grass and looked for it. Her luck was very good, and soon she found an egg in the grass. "Don't move, let me do it." Bao Jixiang saw it with sharp eyes, rushed over at a speed that was completely inappropriate for his age, picked up the egg, and put it into the basket as a treasure. Then he gave her a proud look. "Shen Yizi. As long as you are happy." She doesn't care about an old child. Finally the eggs were picked up and the chickens were caught. The 2 of them returned to the kitchen of Minjiao restaurant with a full load and started cooking. Shen Yizi did not use a constant burning cauldron, but used a firewood burning earthen stove like Bao Jixiang. The ingredients are the same, the tools are the same, and the seasonings are the same. The taste of the final dish is only related to one factor. That's cooking. Simmering chicken soup is a delicate job and cannot be rushed. However, these 2 dishes, fried shredded pork with green pepper and fried rice with eggs, are very quick to make. Shen Yizi invited He Buzzy and the village chief Qi Shigong to be referees. After hearing this, Master Chang Feng came to join in the fun and recommended himself to become one of the referees. Du Zhenzhen, who was one step behind, could only become a waiter, but she was very dissatisfied and said to Chang Feng, "Aren't you a monk? How can you eat meat?" Chang Feng was calm, the donor didn't know something. Meat-based dishes are called fumigation. They refer to the 5 pungent foods: garlic, green onions, orchid green onions, and zangqu. These 5 types of vegetables have a smoky smell and will consume your body after eating them. It dissipates people's energy, damages sincerity, and makes it difficult to communicate with gods, so I don't eat it. And the meat in your mouth is meat, which means fishy in Buddhism. What I practice is Hinayana Buddhism. Hinayana only seeks to save oneself rather than save others. It is allowed to eat 3 kinds of pure meat, and I will not kill them with my eyes. The second is those who do not hear of killing for me, the third are those who have no suspicion of killing for me. The meat used in the dishes of the 2 benefactors was not killed by me, not under my eyes, and not for me, so why can't I eat it? Du Zhenzhen was speechless by his question. The other people present felt that they had learned a lot. It turned out to be the case. They thought that monks could not eat meat. In this way, the 3 referees have made their decision. Du Zhenzhen brought out 2 plates of fried shredded pork with green pepper. Just by looking at the appearance, you can't tell who made which plate. This also ensures fairness. It's not that Bao Jixiang doubted that the 3 referees would be unfair, but if he knew who did it in advance, it would inevitably affect his judgment. When 2 dishes are of equal quality, people will inevitably prefer the one cooked by an acquaintance. 2 plates of food were placed in front of them, and the 3 of them each took a bite. How is it? Du Zhenzhen was more concerned about the outcome than the 2 parties involved. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 294. He Buzzy said to his 7th uncle, "You tell me first." Uncle 7th did not refuse and said directly, "I think both dishes are delicious. I can't tell the difference." He felt that he was just here to make up the numbers. He Buzzy originally wanted to wait for Master Chang Feng to speak, but seeing him tasting bite after bite, he had no intention of speaking for the time being, so he spoke. If you want to cook the fried shredded pork with green pepper well, the shredded pork should be tender and flavorful, and the green pepper should be crispy and not overcooked. After tasting the 2 dishes in front of me, I think the one on the left is better because of its heat. Just right, the green pepper on the right is a little weak. Master Chang Feng only put down his chopsticks at this time. In terms of color, there is nothing to fault about the 2 dishes. In terms of aroma, the one on the left is slightly better. In this way, the dish on the left wins. Du Zhen really wanted to ask who made this dish, so Bao Jixiang took a chopstick of shredded green pepper pork from the plate on the right and put it into his mouth. Why does he need to taste the food he cooked? So obviously, the one on the right was done by Shen Yizi. After tasting it, he nodded, "Well, yes, it's just a little bit behind me. Mister, he has a sensitive tongue, and he can taste even this subtle difference." He turned to Shen Yizi, "Do you know where the difference is?" Shen Yizi looked like he was being taught something. "Please tell me." There is always a little time between when the food is cooked and when it is served on the table. If the heat of the food is just right when you cook it, wouldn't it taste a little worse when it is served? So I am cooking. When cooking, a little residual heat is usually left to allow the dish to continue to develop during the serving process. When it is served to the guests, it will be just right. Shen Yizi was suddenly enlightened and his eyes showed admiration. Mr. Bao is indeed a person who has been studying cooking for decades, and he is already very proficient in cooking. This had never occurred to her. But what if she casts a keep warm spell after the dish is done? Just wait a moment, I'll make it again. Children can be taught. Bao Jixiang waved his hand, "Go ahead and check to see if the rice in the pot is cooked. The only way to make egg fried rice is in this pot." While Shen Yizi was remaking the fried shredded pork with green peppers, the 4 people outside had almost finished the 2 plates. Not long after, Shen Yizi brought a second plate of fried shredded pork with green pepper to the table. The 4 of them stretched out their chopsticks one after another. After Bao Jixiang tasted it, he looked at Shen Yizi in surprise and said, "You are very sensible. The heat of this dish is neither old nor tender, just right." Shen Yizi smiled and said nothing. Chang Feng was probably the only one present who saw the trick she was playing. In fact, she has no understanding at all. Even if she does, she still cannot tell the time as accurately as Mr. Bao does. That requires a lot of practice. She just took a chance and used a heat preservation technique on this new plate of green pepper stir-fried shredded pork. This keeps the dish at the same temperature it was when it was just taken out of the pan, and the heat will naturally not change. By the time the other two dishes were reviewed, it turned out that Mr. Bao had won, but the two were tied for the stewed chicken soup. Although he won, it was a narrow victory. Bao Jixiang praised Shen Yizi very much. I decided to stay right away. However, there is still some hesitation about whether to take over Minjiao restaurant. He just wants to study new dishes using dishes and kitchen utensils he has never seen before, and is not very interested in managing a restaurant. But he can't just enjoy the benefits without paying anything, right? Shen Yizi took out a thick cookbook and handed it over. Bao Jixiang flipped through it, his eyes became brighter and brighter, and he said impatiently, "Where's the contract? Take it out quickly and I'll sign it." He couldn't wait to be hired by Shen Yizi. This shows how attractive the cookbook is to him. It's not in vain that she racked her brains and compiled all the recipes she knew. For 5,000 years, China's food culture has a long history. The mainstream cuisine alone is divided into 8 major cuisines. Each cuisine contains no less than hundreds of dishes. Through evolution and innovation, these hundreds of dishes can be derived countless ways. In addition to domestic dishes, there are also foreign. Shen Yizi couldn't even remember how many dishes she had eaten, heard about, and seen in her previous life. In short, it is enough for Mr. Bao to study. With the manager of Minjiao restaurant in charge, Shen Yizi felt like he had put down another burden. As for the management and operation of the restaurant, Shen Yizi also gave Mr. Bao full autonomy. But she has one request, which is to have the restaurant officially open as soon as possible before the first day of October. With clothing and food taken care of, who should manage the Minjiao Inn as a place of accommodation? Shen Yizi couldn't help but feel that there were not enough people under his command. After much deliberation, he had to exchange for 2 more intelligent puppets. The name is taken from the previous one, Xiaoqi, Xiaoba. Xiao Qi is responsible for managing the inn, and Xiao Ba is responsible for the carriage and horse racing business. Intelligent puppets are like robots. They are imprinted with 3 rules when they are built, but they are very different from the 3 principles of robots. Article 1, you must obey your master's orders. Article 2, it shall not fall into the hands of anyone other than the owner. Article 3, protect yourself. Each item is based on the previous one. So, these puppets who have recognized her as their master all obey her unconditionally. Even from a certain distance, she can use her spiritual consciousness to issue orders to them. When necessary, she can also share their senses and be fully aware of what is happening around them. This is why she likes to use puppets so much. Now, she has between 1 and 88 puppet subordinates. Xiao Yi is responsible for all the affairs of Hongdu Pavilion, Xiao Er is Xiao San's assistant and does everything, Xiao San is her housekeeper and the most intelligent among the several puppets, and is responsible for coordinating all the affairs under her. Xiaoqi Minjiao Inn, Xiaoba Minjiao carriage and horse travel. If we were to rank them in order, it would be, Xiao San, Xiao Er, Xiao Yi, Xiao Qi, and Xiao Ba. Xiao Si, Xiao Wu, and Xiao Lu are responsible for things in the space. They have basically no contact with Xiao San and the others and belong to different camps. The team in her hands has roughly taken shape. In the evening, Shen Yizi held a small banquet at home and invited Xiao Yuba, Master Chang Feng, He Buzzy, Du Li and his daughter, Bao Jixiang, Amu, and others. The first is to bring good luck to the wind. The second is to let the people in your hands meet formally so that they can work together better in the future. When the banquet was over, it was dark outside. However, there is a street lamp standing every few meters on the roadside, illuminating the road brightly, so now everyone is not afraid of walking at night. Even when the street lights first started to be erected, there were still people who went out to hang out at night just to experience the street lights. But now everyone is basically used to it, so it's time to sleep. Shen Yizi and Kun San cleaned up the mess on the table, and then led Qingbao and Nian Nian back to the small building. After entering the space, the two of them were about to run away when Shen Yizi grabbed them by their collars. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 295. I have been busy with the affairs of the villa these days, so I have neglected your studies. I happen to be free today. Mother will come to check and see how you are doing in your studies. Yuan Bao is here too. Qingbao came over like a good baby and snuggled into Shen Yizi's arms. Mom, if you study well, are there any rewards? Before Shen Yizi opened his mouth, Nian Nian said, I want to eat roast suckling pig. Yuan Bao, I want a sword. Qingbao, I want a horse. I have never seen them be so active in endorsing and reading, and they are not far behind in seeking rewards. It depends on whether you have completed the homework assigned by me recently. Shen Yizi straightened Qingbao, who was lying in his arms. Stand well and go back to your seat. The location for the random inspection was under the peach blossom tree. She set up 3 small tables, one for each person. I'm going to prepare the test papers, and you can take this time to review them. If anyone fails the test, they will have to stay here and cannot go out, and their snacks will be confiscated. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of the 3 little guys finally became serious. Shen Yizi went into the study to prepare for the examination papers. The examination was divided into 4 subjects: language, skills, medicine, and painting. The Chinese content is enlightenment books such as 3-character classic, 100 family surnames, 1000-character classic, and young school Qianglin. Arithmetic is a course compiled by herself, which is some simple mathematical knowledge. The test for medicine is to look at pictures to identify medicinal materials, or to connect lines. Considering the age of the 3 children, it is impossible for her to answer such complicated questions. Talisman drawing is a newly added course. Originally, she did not plan to let several children learn this, but Qingbao has already shown his talent in drawing charms, so naturally he cannot bury it. Although she has only just learned how to draw talisman, she still has no problem teaching a few little kids. If he was really defeated by the question, wouldn't he still have a master? As children, Qingbao and the others always have a very unique perspective on problems, which often inspires her and can in turn promote her learning. So when she was learning how to draw talisman, she would give her 3 children some knowledge about talisman and seal writing. She didn't expect them to learn much. It was always good to increase their understanding. Shen Yizi quickly finished the test papers for the 4 subjects. When she came out, she heard a few little guys gathering together and talking quietly, as if they were shady. Her curiosity was immediately aroused. What were the 3 of them discussing behind her back? She opened her consciousness, and the voices of the 3 people were immediately heard. Qingbao, Nian Nian, I will be the first this time. Nian Nian, no, the reward is mine, and you are not allowed to it from me. Yuan Bao, I just want to get first place, and the reward can be given to you. Qingbao and Nian Nian thought about it and agreed. Okay, then I'll let you take first place this time. Shen Yizi, are these 3 little trying to her off to death? You actually decided on the ranking in private? Is it possible that it was like this a few times before? They deserve a beating again, right? Shen Yizi walked out angrily, but as she got closer to the peach blossom tree, her mood calmed down. Hee hee, you little bastards, you are still young if you want to fight with me. She plans to break them down one by one and break them up into small groups. The examination room has been changed. Come with me. The three of them looked at each other and couldn't figure out why their mother suddenly changed the examination room, but just change it, they have nothing to be afraid of. So the three of them sat in a room, and Shenyazi also set up a barrier in the middle to ensure that they could not communicate in any form. At 8 o'clock sharp, she handed out the test papers and said in a serious examiner's tone, "The exam lasts for 2/4 of an hour. The papers must be handed in as soon as the time is up. You cannot go out in the middle, and you cannot hand in the papers in advance." Qingbao, who was sitting below, "Mother, I'm so rich and scared." "Nian Nian, keep eating." Yuanbao arranged all the pens, inks, paper and inkstones on the table. After handing out the papers, Shenyazi switched from strict examiner to gentle mother mode in 1 second. The 4 courses add up to a total of 400 points. If anyone can get a score of 360 or above, I will let him or her be the welcome boy to greet those very powerful brothers and sisters. Not only will he have beautiful new clothes to wear, there are endless snacks and endless gifts. Come on, babies. Children all have a strong mentality and admire whoever is powerful. As for Shenyazi sending invitations to the big names in various circles, inviting them to come to Minjia Villa as guests, Qingbao and the others had already known about it and were looking forward to their arrival. As soon as Shenyazi came out with this bait, the three of them were immediately aroused to be competitive. They put aside their previous agreement and vowed to get a good score in the exam and get the qualification of welcoming the boy. As for breaking the contract, there is no psychological burden at all. As a spiritual body, Qingbao's body is washed and nourished by spiritual energy all the time. Not only does his appearance become more clear and cuter, but his spiritual energy is compelling, his physical qualities are also far superior to those of his peers in all aspects, and his memory is excellent. You can basically memorize the knowledge in the book at a glance. It was just that I was too playful before, and the three of them had a small agreement in private, so I didn't get distracted during the first 2 exams, grabbing a pen and scribbling on the test paper. This time there was a bait in front of him to encourage him, so he became serious, holding a pen and answering the questions carefully. Although the written words are still a bit terrible to look at. You cannot expect the handwriting of a 4-year-old child to be legible. But at least he can still recognize it, which makes Shenyazi very happy. Although Nian Nian started late, who calls her golden fingers awesome. She is of the Phoenix bloodline, and her ancestor personally gave her the initiation. She is far superior to Qingbao and Qingbao in terms of knowledge and experience. She is naturally extremely smart. I am just obsessed with eating, and I am very careless in studying. But once she gets serious, it will be terrible. As for Yuanbao, let alone that, as a smart puppet, learning is his instinct. Usually in space, his daily life is to read various books. It can be said that he is the most worry-free of the 3 little guys. Perhaps because of the contract with Qingbao, the originally quiet and well-behaved baby was gradually led astray and became naughty. Of course, his nature as a top student will not change. Had it not been for Nian Nian's lust, the first place would definitely have been his. This time, the small group of 3 people was broken up by the bait dropped by Shenyazi. Everyone took the exam with great patience and seriousness. You can imagine how fierce the competition is. Shenyazi was happy to see the results. The 3 children were taking exams below, and she was drawing signs leisurely on the podium, looking up at them from time to time. Time flies by. The first exam passed quickly. Shenyazi collected the papers and gave the 3 children 10 minutes to relax. The 3 of them immediately ran out like birds being released from their cages. Their laughter soon came from outside. Shenyazi took a look and saw that they were playing football on the lawn. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 296. King Bao and Yuan Bao are blue children after all, and are naturally very keen on ball games. Nian doesn't rely on either side. She neither likes to play with girls' dolls nor blue children's games, but she is very Buddhist. Yes, as long as she has food in her hand, she can play whatever she is told. So she also participated in it now, but she was the gatekeeper. Just stand there and it won't hinder her from eating at all. Seeing the ball flying over, she glanced slowly, stretched out a white and cute little finger, and accurately touched the ball. The ball was spinning rapidly at her fingertips, but she couldn't move forward any further. The 10 minutes between classes passed quickly, and the three children reluctantly returned to the examination room to continue the second exam. And Shen Yazi had already taken advantage of the time just now to review the three people's papers. Yuan Bao gets perfect marks, and the rolled noodles are the neatest and cleanest. Qingbao scored 95 points and got one multiple-choice question wrong. Nian scored exactly 90 points because she couldn't write two characters. Generally speaking, the three children are all very smart children, and it is not an exaggeration to say they are geniuses. As the gifted mother and aunt, Shen Yazi is very proud. 2.5 hours passed and the exam was over. The first three subjects, Chinese, arithmetic, and herbal medicine, were all literary tests, and Shen Yazi took advantage of the fact that he corrected them right after class. The last test of talisman and seal script is based on 10 blank talisman papers. The score depends on the level of the talisman they draw and the number of draws. It is clear at a glance. Shen Yazi spent some time tallying up the results, then made a simple and clear form and sent it to them on the spot. After getting their scores, the three of them looked at their own scores first, and then stretched their heads to look at the scores of the other two. Shen Yazi looked at it and couldn't help but think of his own student days. Of course, she was always the one being compared before, and her grades and rankings were never in doubt. Let me announce your results. In the four subjects, the overall score is ranked first by Shen Yuanqing, second by Shen Mocking, and third by Shen Nian. As for individual subject scores, Shen Yuanqing scored full marks in Chinese and arithmetic, ranking first. Medicinal herbs Shen Nian and Shen Yuanqing tied for first place, and Fu Zuan and Shen Mocking came first. You all did well in the exam this time, with a total score of more than 360 points, so congratulations to you. The reception work the day after tomorrow will be left to you. Behave well then, and try your best to show the style of our Minjia villa to your brothers and sisters. Children are more expressive. If you give them some tasks appropriately, they will be very happy. The three of them, Qingbao, clapped their hands happily. Okay, it's getting late. Come on, drink the milk, then crawl into bed and sleep. Watching the three of them finish drinking the milk, Shen Yazi cast a cleaning spell on one of them and drove them to the bed. In the space, three people sleep in the same room. But this room is very big, and they each have their own small independent space. According to their preferences, their beds are also in different styles. King Bao's is a forest-style tree-hole bed, Yuan Bao's is a small house-like bed, and Nian's is a princess-style hammock. At first glance, it looks a bit mixed and messy, but the three little guys don't care about this, as long as they like it. Shen Yazi gave each of the three babies a good night kiss, turned off the light and went out. Returning to the desk, she picked up the three people's examination papers again. Yuan Bao is a well-developed elementary school bully. Knowledge-based exams are not difficult for him at all, but for exams like Fu Zuan, which require relatively high talent, he is weaker. Qingbao is talented in all aspects, but as he grows older, his cleverness as a child is gone forever. Now he is in his prime and has little self-control. He prefers playing to studying. It was precisely because drawing symbols was more fun that he was able to learn it. Nian Nian is the kind of person who has something in his mind but cannot take it out all at once. He needs to release it step by step. Shen Yizi decided to adjust the teaching policy in the future. Sigh, it's hard to raise a baby, especially 3 at once. She was happily troubled in her heart. Asterisk. On the last day of September, Xiaoming and Luo Yaoyao drove a group of people back to Jiazhuang. They followed Shen Yizi's instructions and did not fly indirectly. Instead, they parked the flying magic weapon opposite Minjiao Villa. There is a Tianzhou lake of several hundred hectares in the middle. On the lake, a winding and exquisite bamboo bridge has been erected, spanning the entire lake, spreading from the shore to the front of the villa on the opposite side. The bamboo bridge is about 3 to 4 meters wide and is made of emerald green bamboo. There are guard rails on both sides and can accommodate 5 or 6 people walking side by side at the same time. In front of the bamboo bridge, an elegant 2-story bamboo building and a long pavilion were built for guests to take a rest. Surrounding it is a large emerald bamboo forest cultivated by Shen Yizi using spiritual planting techniques and spiritual springs. There is a path in the forest, and clusters of seemingly random flowers are scattered along the road. The breeze blew by, the bamboo leaves rustled, and the unique fragrance of bamboo reached everyone's noses. The lake is clear and the bamboos and trees are delicate. The scenery here is really beautiful. Painting Saint Pei Hao, who was taken over by Xiaoming, looked around and sighed. I immediately took off the baggage behind me, took out the painting tools, and started splashing ink smoothly. Others were also fascinated by the scenery here. It's so beautiful here. The speaker was a slender girl with a dark complexion. She had a pair of dark and clear eyes. She was dressed in simple clothes with a bit of wildness, and she also carried a bow on her back. She is Qin Xiaoyu, a descendant of the Qin family of the Shenjian family. With a bow in hand, I have the world. It is exactly the portrayal of Qin Xiaoyu. Originally, she was not favored by her family when she was born. Unfortunately, when the Qin family came to her generation, she was the only one. Helpless, the Qin family had no choice but to do their best to cultivate her. Although Qin Xiaoyu is a woman, she has shown unparalleled talent in archery. At only 17 years old this year, he has already become an expert archer. Shen Yizi admired such a woman very much, so he naturally sent her an invitation. As for whether she will come, I am not sure. And now, she is here. Not only her, but most of the people who received the invitation gathered here. And among them, there are also monks. Monks look at things from a completely different perspective than ordinary people. What they care about is the concentration of spiritual energy, the treasures of heaven and earth, and the resources for cultivation. Although Shen Yizi praised Minjiao Villa in the invitation, they actually didn't quite believe it. I just came here with a precautionary attitude. However, I didn't expect that what I posted was actually true and not an exaggeration. This is still outside Minjiao Villa, and the concentration of spiritual energy is no less than that of the cave paradise they work so hard to find. The emerald bamboo is a rare spiritual plant. The utensils made from it have the effect of calming the mind. Outside, an emerald bamboo pillow would be sold for a sky-high price. However, here, it is used to build something that everyone can enjoy. Trampled bamboo bridge. Not far away there is a large emerald bamboo forest, which is dense and prosperous. Some people couldn't help but swallow their saliva on the spot, and their eyes wandered back and forth on the bamboo bridge, bamboo house, and bamboo forest, their eyes full of longing. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 297. Xiao Er, who came to receive everyone, smiled lightly. Hello everyone, I am Shen Er, the second housekeeper of Minjiao Villa. You can call me Xiao Er. You are tired from the journey and have worked hard. Please come with me. Xiao Er looks like a handsome and sunny boy. When he smiles, Two small dimples are exposed on his cheeks, which makes people immediately like him. Except for Pei Hao, everyone else followed Xiao Er onto the bamboo bridge and headed towards Minjiao Villa. The bamboo bridge is not a straight line, but a zigzag circuit, connecting the pavilions and pavilions on the lake together. At the middle section, water lilies bloomed on the lake on both sides of the bamboo bridge. The color was starry blue, deep, mysterious and elegant, inviting people to explore. It spreads from the feet to the end of the site, gorgeous and shocking. Many people could not help but stop and watch. When Pei Hao finished painting the lakeside bamboo forest and rushed here, seeing the beautiful scenery in front of him, his mind was bursting with inspiration again, and he couldn't wait to spread out the drawing paper. Seeing the buildings connected to the bamboo bridge, Qin Xiaoyu was a little curious and wanted to go in and take a look. Butler Shen Er. Xiao Er said, "Miss Qin, just call me Xiao Er." Looking at his star-like eyes, Qin Xiaoyu, who had never known shyness, felt a little at a loss for the first time, as if there was a deer bumping around in her heart. Ahem, Xiao Er, do these pavilions also belong to Minjiao Villa? Yes, from the bamboo forest just now to the Blue Tears Valley in Qingmang Mountain, the area that stretches for hundreds of miles belongs to our Minjiao Villa. Everyone took a breath after hearing this. This Minjiao Villa is really a big deal. At the end of the bamboo bridge, there are three lovely children from Yugzhou lined up. They are the three King Bao children who were sent out to welcome the guests. It's just that Yuan Bao has been disguised, and his face that is exactly the same as Qing Bao's has been modified. Otherwise, it would be difficult for Shen Yizi to explain his origins to outsiders. Now, just say picked up child and it will be fooled. After all, I have already picked up a Nian before, so what's the big deal about picking up another Yuan Bao? Originally, Shen Yizi planned to use Yuan Bao as a substitute for Qing Bao, so as to confuse those who had intentions towards Qing Bao, such as Zhang Yuchun. Although he has not appeared for a while now, the sense of crisis in her heart has not receded. But Yuan Bao is so cute, and sensible, and they have been together for a long time, how can she still let him go? King Bao and Nian usually play outside, but Yuan Bao can only stay alone in the space, which she always feels unbearable. Simply take advantage of this time to release him and let him appear in front of everyone openly. Today the three of them are wearing the same style of clothes, except that King Bao and Yuan Bao are wearing clothes and trousers, while Nian is wearing a skirt. The colors of the clothes of the three are also different. But at a glance, you can tell that the three children belong to the same family. The three of them were chatting, but when they saw a large group of people coming from a distance, they immediately stood up and showed cute smiles. When everyone came to the scene, the three of them said in unison with a childish voice, "Welcome brothers, sisters, uncles, and aunts to Minjiao Villa as guests." King Bao and Yuan Bao clasped their fists in salute, and Nian in the middle also clasped their fists. Yuan Bao caught a glimpse of her from the corner of his eye, turned around and reminded Nian in a low voice, Nian, you have to behave like a girl." Nian was stunned for a moment, then remembered, she quickly adjusted her posture and made a ladylike salute. Everyone was stunned at first, then couldn't help but smile, and then burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, these three dolls are so cute. Men are better off, but women can't resist cute babies, let alone three of them when they appear. Just as Qin Xiaoyu was about to step forward, a person rushed in front of her. He took Qing Bao and the three bears into his arms, kissing each other. "Ah, how can you be so cute, your parents are so happy, tell me, sister, what are your names?" When other people saw this, their eyes were almost out of frame. This is the same female cultivator by Xiaoshu who looked cold and unreasonable from before. When I met the cute baby, my style of painting suddenly changed in a second. Qing Bao and the other two struggled to free themselves from her arms, their faces turning red. "Sister, before asking our names, Shouldn't you introduce yourself first? Qingbao hid Yuan Bao and Nian Nian behind his back, holding them in front like a big brother. But Bai Xiaoshu was so cute by his actions, her hands were itchy, she wanted to pinch his white and tender little face, but she was afraid of scaring him. My sister's name is Bai Xiaoshu, can you tell me your names now? Well, okay, my name is Qingbao. I am Yuan Bao. Institutions. The three little guys introduced themselves one after another. Others gathered around, teasing them with your words. Are you triplets? How old are you this year? Who asked you to come here to greet us? The three of them answered everyone's questions clearly. That little appearance completely captured the hearts of most people present. In the end, Qingbao and the three of them couldn't hold it any longer. These people still seemed to have more to say. Qingbao had no choice but to say, brothers and sisters, aren't you tired? Mother said she wants us to entertain you well. Shall I take you to the inn to rest? Bai Xiaoshu responded immediately and held his hand. Okay, I'll listen to you. You can lead the way for us. Qin Xiaoyu fished out Nian Nian with quick eyes and hands. Yuan Bao was held by others. The group of people headed toward the inn in a mighty manner. On the way, Bai Xiaoshu couldn't help but ask, why don't you just take us to the villa? Because my mother said to keep it a mystery and wait until tomorrow to let you in. Oh, that's it. Bai Xiaoshu couldn't help but look forward to tomorrow's opening ceremony even more. At the same time, he was also quite curious about the mother he mentioned. Now, she already knows that Shen Yazi, the owner of Minjia Villa, is a woman. Along the way, everyone saw a lot of new things. They used to think that they had seen a lot, but when they came here, it was like Grandma Lu had entered the Grand View Garden, and everything they saw was novel. What is this green bucket for? Oh, it turns out it's used to throw away garbage. Then many people rummaged through their bodies, found one or two things they didn't want, and went over to experience them. What is this? Street lamp, used for lighting at night. Everyone, they are not as knowledgeable as a few little kids about their feelings, which is heartbreaking. After arriving at the inn, Qingbao said, Mother said that before the first day of October, you can stay and eat in the inn for free with invitations, but after the villa opens, you will have to pay if you stay again. Bai Xiaoshu touched the braid on his head and teased him, really? Isn't your mother afraid that we will make her poor? Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 298. Yuan Bao, my mother said that she will make money back from you by then. Bai Xiaoshu. Qin Xiaoyu chuckled, this Master Shen is really becoming more and more interesting. The inn is not very luxuriously decorated, but it is clean and bright, making people feel comfortable. Everyone was indeed a little tired, so they checked in under the arrangements of the waiter. Bai Xiaoshu has a habit of carefully checking the surrounding environment wherever she goes. After the maid leaves, she immediately walks around the inside and outside of the house. It didn't matter if she walked this way, she discovered that there were actually 3 formations arranged here. Dust cleaning array, sound insulation array, and waterproof array. The functions of these formations are just like their names and are easy to understand. The Bai family is a descendant of formations. As a direct member of the family, she knows a lot about formations and is now a first-level formation mage. She could also arrange these 3 formations, but when she looked closely, she found that the method of setting up these 3 formations was much simpler than she knew, but the functions were the same, and even better. 1 chip. There is no doubt that there is a formation master here. Who is the one? If you have the chance, you must visit and ask for advice. Bai Xiaoshu felt that she had come to the right place this time. There were really hidden dragons and crouching tigers in Minjia Villa. She happily opened a door in the bedroom. According to the maid, this was the bathroom where she could wash, go to the toilet, and take a bath. At that time, She was confused and amazed in her heart, but in order not to appear too ignorant in front of the maid, she kept acting indifferent and maintained her persona of a cold goddess. Now that she was the only one here, she could finally go in and take a good look. On the other hand, Qin Xiaoyu no longer had any scruples, and she would just ask if she didn't understand something. The maids had received special training before taking up their duties, so they answered her questions patiently and gently. What surprised her the most was that water was very convenient in the inn, so there was no need for the waiter to burn it and bring it to her. If you want water, just open this faucet, turn left to get cold water, turn right to get hot water. It's very simple and convenient, right? The maid was full of pride when she introduced him. Qin Xiaoyu kept nodding. After the introduction, the maid gave a final reminder: if you have any needs or questions, you can ring the bell on the bedside, and we will rush over as soon as possible. Well, okay, thank you very much. The maid smiled and replied, "You're welcome, this is what we should do." When she went out, she thoughtfully closed the door for her. Qin Xiaoyu feels that the maids here are really thoughtful and attentive, and their attitude is patient and gentle, but they don't give people a flattering feeling, which makes them very comfortable. She happily walked around the house twice and entered the bathroom with a change of clothes. The toiletries in the bathroom were all available, such as toothpaste, shower gel, shampoo. They were arranged in an orderly manner on the solid wooden shelves, which dazzled her. They are all packed in exquisite and beautiful containers, including porcelain jars and jade vases. The names and usage are all printed on the containers, so you can tell at a glance. Sitting in the wooden bucket, Qin Xiaoyu poured some shower gel into her hand. It was a milky white viscous liquid with a faint floral fragrance, which smelled quite good. She tried it and the effect was surprisingly good. After taking a shower, she felt that her skin was clearer, whiter, and tenderer, so refreshing. Coming to the dressing mirror, she touched her face. Unlike other girls, her skin color was slightly tanned from practicing archery for many years. The ridicule from my former friends suddenly rang in my ears. "You look so dark, you might as well call me Qin Xiaoyu from now on." Before the age of 10, she was a little girl who liked to wear beautiful dresses and steal rouge from her mother. However, after the age of 10, because she was the only child in the family, she had to have high expectations. The talent is unique on the archery. This is the fortune of the family, but it is her misfortune, because since then, her life has changed dramatically. Every day he is either practicing archery or taking medicinal baths to strengthen his body and bones. Those things that belonged to the little girl left her overnight. Why should she get up early every morning to practice boring archery while other girls are reading storybooks and discussing new clothing styles on spring outings? Squatting hard under the sun. Because of this, her originally fair and tender skin was tanned, and she was laughed at by girls she knew in the past and turned into a black coal. So she has rebelled, resisted, been passive at work, and even ran away from home. It was precisely because of running away from home that she changed her attitude towards learning archery. There was a bang 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 knock on the door outside, which made Qin Xiaoyu retreat from her memories. Opening the door, Bai Xiaoshu stood outside. "Are you interested in going shopping together?" Asterisk. It was already evening when Gu Switting and his party arrived at Langcheng Pier. He sent a messenger talisman to Shenyazi, and soon received a reply from her: "I ask Xiaoming to pick you up." In order to increase the capacity of the Tianzhou, Shenyazi recently fed it a large amount of spiritual minerals. Now it is about 20 meters long. It is a handsome two-story ship. It can carry dozens or hundreds of people without any problem. In the evening, the lake surface is particularly gorgeous under the reflection of the setting sun, as if it has been coated with a layer of glaze. Compared with the morning, Tianzhou Lake now has a different and moving charm. Everyone who came here breathed the clear air and watched the beautiful scenery, and suddenly felt that their trip was worthwhile. Like the first two groups, everyone followed Xiao Er, who greeted him and stepped onto the bamboo bridge to Minjia Villa. As the welcome boy, the three little Qingbaos are looking forward to this welcome the most, because they can finally see their father, Uncle Gu. As the crowd gradually approached, Qingbao was disappointed to find that his father was not among them. "Where is Daddy? Of course I can't wait to see the person I've missed for a long time." Gu Swiding walked quickly and arrived at the Shen family courtyard. Kun San saw him and sat up in shock. "Your Majesty, young master." He nodded slightly. "Where are you girls?" "The girl is working in the hospital and hasn't come back yet." The word work was obviously learned by Shen Yizi. Gu Swiding wanted to turn around and go to the hospital, but then he thought about it and stopped. "When's Yizi comes back, don't tell her I'm here." He went straight to the small building in the backyard, went up to the third floor, stood on the balcony with his hands clasped, and looked in the direction of her return. Shen Yizi happened to run into He Buzzy when he came back from get off work at the medical clinic. Two people walked together and talked while walking. "When do you plan to take over Tianbao Pavilion?" He Buzzy asked. "She is the real owner of Tianbao Pavilion, he is just helping her take care of it. Now that her identity is known, he naturally wants to hand over Tianbao Pavilion." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 299. Shen Yizi smiled and said, "Why should I take over? At the beginning, I just came up with an idea and a batch of goods. It is all your credit that it can develop so well now. But there's nothing to worry about. Tianbao Pavilion belongs to you completely. If you really feel sorry for it, help me collect more heavenly materials and earthly treasures in the future." Shen Yizi patted He Buzzy on the shoulder and suddenly felt a strong feeling of being watched, and it was coming from his own small building. But when she looked over, there was nothing there. Is it her imagination? As soon as she stepped into the door, a figure pressed over her forcefully and pushed her against the door. Shen Yizi subconsciously wanted to fight back, but he noticed a familiar aura. "Gu Swiding, why are you here?" "Can't I be here?" He raised her chin, his handsome face was frosty, but his eyes were filled with grievances. Shen Yizi immediately understood. It was indeed not her illusion just now. She and He Buzzy were probably seen by him. This jealous king. She felt a little funny in her heart. She stood up on tiptoes and hooked her arms around his neck, saying in a coquettish voice, "Hold me." How could Gu Swiding refuse her? He then leaned over and picked her up, as if he were holding a child. Shen Yizi took advantage of the situation and wrapped her arms around his waist. This way, she no longer had to raise her neck to look at him. She was even a little taller than him, so she needed to lower her head slightly. She stroked his eyebrows with her fingers. "Do you miss me?" Gu Swiding was silent, he was still waiting for her explanation. Zhizi actually brought another man home and let him live in a grand manner. Thinking of her having been under the same roof with that wild man for so many days, he had the urge to kill. Shen Yizi knew it was not what he wanted, so he deliberately teased him with his fingers, tapping his face like a feather, and then came to his lips, "I miss you." Her movements, coupled with these words, were extremely lethal. How can Gu Swiding care about insignificant outsiders? He tilted his head slightly to capture her lips, kissing her fiercely and urgently. At a certain moment, his eyes were suddenly filled with red. Shen Yizi closed his eyes and was so fascinated by his kiss that he didn't notice the scene. After the kiss, both of them breathed a little unsteadily. At this time, she had become soft and turned into a puddle of water. She was afraid of slipping down unless she was supported by the man's strong arms. He pressed her head against her neck, carried her to the couch and sat down. He put his big palm on her back and stroked her gently, thus alleviating the desire in his heart. Shenyazi noticed something, and his heart felt hot. He wanted to move down, but he held him tightly. "Don't move." The voice was already a little hoarse. Shenyazi lay obediently in his arms and did not move. "He busy." She had just started, but he interrupted her. "Don't mention other men, especially when we are intimate, okay?" He whispered in her ear. Seeing that her earlobe was completely red, like a round and lovely agate bead, he took it into his mouth and tasted it carefully with his tongue. Shenyazi was made weak by him, and he was thinking in a daze, why has Goosewitting become so attractive after not seeing him for a while? It was simply overwhelming for her. "Mother, mother, why didn't Daddy come?" Qingbao's voice suddenly interrupted. At the same time, the sound of footsteps was heard on the stairs. Not just one, but a trio. Shenyazi suddenly came to his senses, pushed Goosewitting away, got off him in a hurry, and quickly arranged his clothes. "Is there anything else wrong?" she asked Goosewitting. Caught off guard, she ran into his eyes, and her heartbeat stopped for a moment. When did you come out?" The man pulled her back into his arms and wiped her messy lipstick, while our lips and tongues were intertwined. The tone is extremely ambiguous. She didn't even notice it at all. Shenyazi was so shocked that he was speechless. "Also, call me Xianting from now on." He rubbed her soft cheek with the tip of his nose. Shenyazi raised his hand and was about to slap him. At this moment, the door was knocked open with a bang, and Qingbao and 3 others broke in. "Daddy!" Seeing Xianting, Qingbao rushed over excitedly and pushed Shenyazi aside, followed closely by Yuanbao and Nian Nian. But they knew that they were not as upright as Qingbao, so they did not dare to get too close. Instead, they stood aside with envy, watching Qingbei and I in Suanting's arms. Xianting stretched out his arms, hugged the 2 little ones, and gave each of them a kiss. Yuanbao and Nian Nian were embarrassed and buried themselves in his arms. "Dad, why are your eyes red?" Qingbao touched Suanting's eyes and looked at him curiously. Shenyaz Hickson suddenly raised his voice. Yu Chang, who was wrapped around Qingbao's wrist, was also nervous. Why did this monster appear again? Xianting didn't seem to be aware of the panic he had caused. He pinched Qingbao's face as if nothing had happened and smiled fondly. Shenyazi couldn't help but feel a little dazed when he looked at it. If it weren't for those bright blood eyes, she would really want to. He thought the person in front of him was Goosewitting. But the 2 of them are one. Daddy has a strange disease, and sometimes his eyes become like this. But Qingbao, don't worry when he gets sick, as long as your mother kisses you, it won't hurt. The 3 Qingbaos all looked at Shenyazi and waved to her. "Mom, come and kiss Daddy." Facing 3 pairs of innocent and childish eyes, Shenyazi really couldn't say no, but seeing Xianting's look of leisurely waiting for her to kiss him, she became furious. Children cannot watch the kisses of adults, otherwise they will get needle holes. You go out first. Let's coax these 3 little ancestors out first. Qingbao has just met his father, how can he bear to be separated from him? But I didn't want to hurt my father, so I had to slowly climb off his lap. Dad, I'll go out first. I'll come in after you kiss. Then he thoughtfully took Yuanbao and Nian Nian along with him. There were only 2 people left in the room. Shenyazi's face suddenly turned cold, and his brows were filled with sternness. "Xianting, if you dare to talk nonsense in front of the children again, I will." Before he could finish the next sentence, his body was uncontrollably pulled into his arms and bumped into his chest. He pinched her waist maliciously and kneaded her. "What do you think? This bastard?" Shenyazi wanted to repeat the same trick and use the immobilization charm to immobilize him, but before she could attach it, his wrist was held by him. The force seemed light but was heavy, and she felt as if her hand was about to break. "I don't indulge you like Goosewitting." His gorgeous and thin voice struck her eardrums. The tip of her nose was sore, and Shenyazi's eyes filled with mist. She was not such a fragile and emotional person, but at this moment, she was hurt by his words. Xianting raised her face with his fingers and looked at her water-colored eyes. His heart became more and more excited, and a sense of hunger surged deep in his soul, clamoring to eat her. I haven't settled the accounts with you for what happened last time. What do you think I should do to punish you? Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 300. Outside the door, the three of Qingbao squatted in a row on the ground, with their ears pressed against the door, curiously listening to what was going on inside. How could Xianting not know what was going on outside? With a move of his finger, a soundproof barrier was cast, wrapping the entire room. Shenyazi's expression changed slightly. What was this going to do to her? She made a decisive move and used her ultimate move. Her face instantly turned pale, cold sweat dripped from her forehead, and her voice was weak and painful. It hurts. His body slid down softly, and he no longer had the strength to support himself. As a doctor, she has seen a lot of patients of all kinds. Isn't it easy to pretend to be sick? He despises his own behavior in his heart, but he acts perfectly on his face. Xianting looked at her suspiciously. Where does it hurt? While speaking, his consciousness circled around her body, but found nothing unusual. Shenyazi bit his lip and said nothing. He only covered his stomach with his hands, but the cold sweat on his forehead was gathering more and more. Xianting looked at her with a pair of eyes, unsure for a moment whether she was pretending to be in pain or if she was really in pain. A feeling of irritability and frustration arose in my heart. What shocked him even more was that the demonic poison in his body showed signs of resurgence. However, he was actually influenced by her in just two aspects. No, he has always been cold-blooded and ruthless. This must be Gu Switting's thoughts. Xianting pinched Shenyazi's face hard. Stop pretending, how could a monk dash? Stomachache. However, before he finished speaking, he smelled the smell of blood on her body. Xianting. Shenyazi also didn't expect that his aunt would visit so promptly. The monks in the Qi refining period have not officially entered the path of cultivating immortals and have not broken away from the category of mortals, so there will still be such things as ants, but the cycle is longer, extending from 1 month to 2 months, or even 3 months. The time interval is a bit long, so Shenyazi doesn't remember the specific days. This situation is a bit embarrassing now. Of course, the embarrassment was the who seemed to have evil intentions towards her. Seeing his expression crack for a moment, she almost laughed so hard in her heart, but she still had to show a look of pain on her face. Xianting is extremely unfamiliar with Kuishui, but that doesn't mean he doesn't know what's going on. It is said that some women will suffer from unbearable abdominal pain when they come to Kuishui. Even many doctors with excellent medical skills are helpless with it. Without saying a word, Xianting picked up Shenyazi and carried him into the bathroom. Want me to help? He asked as he put her down. Shenyazi. Could this be any more shameless? He helps? How can he help? Believe it or not, she made his face bleed. Get out, Shenyazi roared through gritted teeth. I don't know where the sentence made him laugh. Xianting walked out with a smile on his face. After a while, Shenyazi walked out of the bathroom expressionlessly. However, what greeted him was a pair of worried black eyes. Gu Switting. She threw herself into his arms and gave him a blow on the chest. Gu Switting has no memory of the previous period and does not know what his other self did, but this does not prevent him from showing off his boyfriend power. When your girlfriend loses her temper, just pamper, coax, and let her vent. Shenyajin knew that the hammering was not enough, so he grabbed his neck with a squeal and grinned at his teeth bitterly. Not only did Gu Switting not hide, but he also cooperated by bending down to make it easier for her to bite. Shen Yizi was immediately shocked by his behavior and felt that she was really unreasonable. How was she different from the pretentious girls she used to disdain? Unexpectedly, she also became pretentious when it came to falling in love. Shen Yizi pushed him away, walked to the Arhat couch and sat down, pointing to the opposite side. "Sit down and let's talk." The tone is deliberately cold. Gu Swiding panicked. "I know. Don't come over here, sit down." Shen Yizi doesn't dare to let him get close now. Who knows if he will be stimulated again and release that Xianting. They must keep their distance now. Including this time, Xianting has come out twice. Shen Yizi's expression was a little solemn. "Xianting. Shen Yizi, he told me to call him that." Gu Swiding's mood at this moment was really subtle. How could he break the feeling that he was being cheated on? The last time, it was when you were about to be controlled by the magic poison, and he came out and took over your body. This time, it was, both times it was because I made your emotions too intense. It gave him an opportunity to take advantage of, so I think it's best for us to reduce contact before Xianting and demon poison are eliminated. Gu Swiding wants to say that he can control the devil's poison. In the past many years, he has lost control only a handful of times. But now that there is an uncontrollable factor like Xianting, he can't guarantee it. What if Xianting takes the opportunity to run out again while he is resisting the demonic poison with all his strength? Let him use his body to do whatever he wants to Zhizi? When he thought of this, he wanted to stab himself. However, if he was asked to reduce his contact with her, he would never agree. They are rarely together and often apart. Although they can communicate frequently through the image stone, it is not enough. What he wants is to be able to stay with her all the time, to be able to hold her, touch her, kiss her, and even. When you love someone, you will instinctively have the desire to possess her. He did not deny this. Shen Yizi tilted his chin, "Speaking of which, why isn't Xianting affected by the demonic poison? Aren't he and you in the same body?" As soon as she said the words, she realized that the demonic poison would only act when the emotions were intense. As Gu Swiding's other personality, Xianting had his memories, but did not have all his emotions. Xianting is more cold, ruthless. Although he teases her in various ways every time he comes out, in fact, he has no feelings for her at all. Shen Yizi figured this out and became even more angry. "No, we must deal with the evildoer Xianting." Shen Yizi made a decision and held Gu Swiding's hand. "I will take you to a place. But before that." She removed the sound barrier set up by Xianting and put the 3 Qingbao in. "Oh, Daddy's eyes are healed. Sure enough, Mommy's kisses are very effective." Qingbao's words made Gu Swiding feel depressed. Sure enough, Xianting didn't use his body to do any good. Shen Yizi sent the 3 Qingbaos into the space in front of him. "Is this a space for living things?" Gu Swiding frowned. "Zhizi, you shouldn't show it in front of me. In this world, even storage magic weapons are extremely rare, let alone space for storing living creatures. Once word spreads, Zhizi will definitely become the target of public criticism."